What's up, guys? ArtistVersion1 here, and welcome back to another edition of Stories No One Asked For, the podcast. And if you don't know by now, all these stories were supposed to be in another book that I intended on writing, or many books that I could have written at this point, but I just couldn't find the focus to do it. And back in 2020, I actually was able to write one, but it was one of those things that it was just, hey, a mountain's there, might as well climb it. And I started writing a follow-up book called Retail Hell and the Fire from the Other Side of the Counter, because I thought that title was epic. But I just got stuck writing. And, I was like, you know what? I'll just go back to stories no one asked for, and just lost focus. I just couldn't sit down and write it. So, hence why this podcast is here. And every now and then I'll bring on guests to talk about their stories that you didn't ask for. But yeah, tonight I figured I'd talk about something a little different here. Something I think I've alluded to in many other lives and podcasts and everything, but figured I'd go more in depth into it. But before we get to that, I want to give a great shout out to the people over at MoviesRUSA.biz. And if you don't know about MoviesRUSA.biz, it is a great website where you can head over and find those hard to find movies, TV shows that either haven't been released on physical media in a while or have never been released on physical media. And look at the news lately, places like Best Buy, places like Target, and I've even heard some rumblings that even Walmart might give up selling DVDs and Blu-rays in the new year here, which is just awful. I mean, like, streaming is fine and everything, but, I like to have physical copies of stuff because not everything stays on streaming forever. That seems to be something people don't understand. And the great people over at MoviesRUSA.biz is keeping that alive, and they can put whatever you're looking for on disc there for you and put it on there for a great reasonable price. And if that price just isn't reasonable enough for you, use my checkout code ARTIST, ARTIST, at checkout and save yourself 50% on your purchase. And if that wasn't enough for you, you're going to get free first class shipping. I mean, if you don't want to pay $15 a month to watch some Netflix show, you just want to watch one Netflix show that they don't put on DVD, hey, head on over to moviesrusa.biz. Say, hey, I want this show from Netflix on Blu-ray. Boom, he'll put it on there for you. You can use my checkout code plus get free shipping. And not only that, but it's yours forever. Just in case Netflix is just like, well, we're taking this off. Well, there you go. It's yours forever. So head on over to moviesrusa.biz today. Use checkout code ARTIST, ARTIST, at checkout. Save 50% on your purchase. Free first class shipping. And even for the international listeners, the very few that we have, free first class international shipping as well. MoviesRUSA.biz, a great sponsor of Stories No One Asked For, the podcast. They're not only a sponsor, I'm a customer. All right, so let's get into it here tonight. I wanted to talk about, let me crack open this soda here. I wanted to talk about basically, one of my loves in this world. I'd be into movies. And at one time, being a filmmaker slash actor was the dream, you know? And I mean, I guess it all goes back to when I was a kid when, I would watch movies all the time. Whenever I could watch movies, I would. Like going to the video store was like a fucking excitement for me. Some kids when they're kids, you go to the toy store, that's exciting. Don't get me wrong, I was a kid and like loved going to the toy store, but like, man, on a day where like we could go to the video store and rent movies and shit, oh man, I was happier than a pig in shit. You know what I mean? So, um, so that was like a thing for me. And then it wasn't till, oh God, how old was I? I want to say I was like 11 is when I moved to Durham, North Carolina, is when I started to really get my own movie collection. I remember my mom bought me Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and Christmas Vacation on VHS, and a bunch of other movies. We had like a shit ton of movies to watch. But like that's like when I really started to get into movies that like I really wouldn't think were up my alley. But I was like Kathy Bates is a home of their own, or a home of your own, or something like that. Which I mean, if you know about that movie, hey, hats off to you. But I was also into movies like Sister Act 2. I used to love Sister Act 2. Movies like Spice World. You know, like that was my jam back then. But I was also into like very, at the time, artsy movies such as, uh, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Which, that was one of the first examples of a movie where, like, the first time I watched it, I didn't really get it. But upon a second viewing, I'm just like, I get it. I get it. And there's like camera shot. That was like one of the first movies I like. I'm like, man, I really like that camera shot. There was like a camera shot of Claire Danes, um, like sitting there as Juliet. That like I just remember watching, like, wow, that's incredible how they like lit it and everything like that. Movies like Waterworld. Like that movie is like renowned today as like one of the worst movies ever. But like I fucking love Waterworld. With Kevin Costner and Dennis Hopper. One of Jack Black's early movies, believe it or not. He has like a small role in it. You know, like that's where like my love of movies came from. Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy was another one, you know? So I think that's why I like David Spade so much, is because of Tommy Boy, but whatever. So that was like where my love of movies like really began, was like as a kid growing up and everything. So to translate that, I figure why not, take a drama class in, school to do that. So in sixth grade, finally, I finally got to sign up for a drama class, but it wasn't like a drama class like, okay, it wasn't like fucking Glee. We're like, okay, we're gonna fucking act today, kids. It was pretty much like intro to drama, and it was barely that, because like most of the time it was like, okay, we're gonna watch a movie, then take a test. I remember us watching Hook, which again, great movie. Hook's a great movie, and then we had to take a test, a verbal test, on top of that afterwards. You know, so that it wasn't. There's not really a lot to report from there. Like I don't really remember like learning a lot about acting from there. You know, it wasn't till I got to eighth grade. Because seventh grade, we didn't really have, like, my middle school, because I went to two middle schools. One in Durham, which is when I went there for sixth grade, and then one in North Carolina, another one in North Carolina, I should say, where in seventh grade, we didn't, the school didn't really have a drama class. They had, some superlatives, but, like, drama was not one of them. So that was not something I could really take, So it wasn't until eighth grade when our English teacher, for some reason, put on a play, and it was called Christmas. Christmas, was it? No, not a Christmas. Christmas Dream. Christmas. Fuck, I don't remember. Um, and tried out for it, and it was like there was actually, I didn't think a lot of people would turn out for this tryout, but there was actually a lot. And and like I skipped over this part, but like in elementary school, I tried out for like the school musicals, and by musicals I mean like, let's backtrack some. So like when I lived in Virginia, in like what was it, second, third, and fourth grade, we would do like, again, not even plays. It would be like, so one class, like like a teacher's class, would stand up and sing like a Christmas carol, and then in between there'd be like a little skit, between like Santa Claus and elves and everything. Then the next class would go up and sing, you know, and like I would try out for those roles, and needless to say, I never got them. Hence why I tried skipping over them until right now. So all that just to say, like, this was technically the first time I've ever tried out for a role. Um, for like an actual play, And to my surprise, I actually got it, I don't know how, because there was a lot of people there. There wasn't really a lot of people. I think there was more girls than there were guys, to be honest. So, but it wasn't. It was this play that made me realize that I'm a bit of a diva, and allow me to explain, because we did rehearsals, of course, as any play would do. And while we were doing rehearsals, our teacher would, she was the one directing the play, so I mean, fuck, she would, do it. So we would do all the acting exercises. Like, we would do like some acting exercises. And, like, we all sat in a circle with our heads down and eyes closed, and we had to like somehow communicate to each other and count to 10. And we could not we couldn't speak over one another. We couldn't repeat the same number or anything like that. And she would do like these relaxation things with us, all this stuff. And then we'd rehearse, we'd rehearse our parts and all that good stuff. And that was it. Well, one day, this is how I found out I was a diva. And I mean, in my eyes, I was justified with this, but whatever. So one day, our teacher wasn't going to be there, So she decided to put one of our friends in charge. And that friend, I mentioned her in a couple episodes ago, but I mentioned her name was Crystal. She decided to put Crystal in charge, who was who was playing my daughter in the play. Now, this is middle school. Now, again, I mentioned in that episode, and now me and Crystal get along great. I mean, like, I don't know what it is about the Facebook world that like made me and Crystal such great friends, but like we're fucking fantastic now. Like we're chill as hell. So, but like back then, man, like fucking she could. I mean, God, she could have stabbed me and just kept walking. There was like a couple instances where like we would chit chat and stuff in middle school and high school, but like we were not chummy like we were now. Anyway, my point being, I'm digressing. So they left her in charge, or she, who was the teacher? Miss Milton. That was her name, Miss Milton. Miss Milton left her in charge of because we knew what to do. We knew to do the fucking, the exercises. We knew to rehearse, from the start of the play to the end of the play, and fucking leave. So we do the exercises. It goes off of that hitch. We kind of have like a couple gags with it, and whatever. So then we start rehearsing, and I honestly don't remember what it was, but I remember Crystal saying something to me. I don't know if it was like do it again or something. I remember saying something to me, and it wasn't nice. Like she didn't do it like nicely, and I said something back to her, and she played the power card, by which I mean like, like, hey, I'm the one in charge here, and that's when I was like, you know what, fuck this, I don't need this, so I grabbed my bag and I fucking left, and like it's not like I could go anywhere because like I had to wait for my ride and shit, so like I literally just walked out of the auditorium with my bag and went to the front of the school and just sat there and waited. Because I was like, fuck this, like you're not gonna fucking talk to me like I'm shit. I put up with this shit during school. I'm not gonna put up with it after school. I don't think so. Like you don't know how many fucking people fuck with me during the school day. Like I'm not gonna put up with it after the school day. Like not happening. So I can see why it comes across as like a diva like attitude, but like I can also see how I was kind of justified in that situation. So the next day, it was my English teacher. So like the next day, obviously she heard about it. So my English teacher pulls me aside in class, and she was like, "So I heard what happened yesterday." I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "So do you want to quit?" I was like, "No, I just don't want to be talked to like that." And she was like, "Okay, I was just making sure." And everything. I was like, "Okay, whatever." So anyway, we eventually did the play, and it went off okay, and I made my acting debut. I'm kind of glancing over some of this shit, but not really a lot to report on some of these. So I kept going through drama. Ninth grade came, and that was kind of like another like intro to drama type of thing. That one they actually had like a fucking textbook, and that actually ended up being like one of my favorite teachers, Miss Lawrence. But like we actually had a textbook. We actually had to do like worksheets and everything. It was really bizarre doing that. But we also did oh god, we did like a handful of plays for this damn thing. So one of which um we had to put on like these drug plays. I think I alluded to these in like an episode somewhere. But we had to put on these drug plays for the elementary school kids. It was basically like, hey kids, don't do drugs. That was essentially what it is. It was showing them the dangers of drugs. And um so one of them, the one I was in, we put on two. One was like a Candyland type of thing, where like the candy was like a metaphor for drugs, which on paper sounds like a great idea, but once you throw out candy to the kids, we lost them. They're just like, I don't give a shit. We have candy. They don't fuck the message at that point. And the other one was kind of like more grounded, which is the one I was in, which was like people at a football game. They show up at a house party. Hey, we're doing drugs and fucking, you know. That actually, you know what? Here's a fun story about that. So what happened was it was Crystal again. So it was me, Crystal, our mutual friend Robin at the time. There was somebody else because I know there was a third one. Me, Crystal, Robin. There was somebody else. We actually wrote like a fucking comedy, more of a comedy bit to it before it like morphed into this football game and going to the party type of thing. What happened was like we wrote this thing where like basically it's like Crystal and Robin, their characters like notice like I'm acting different. And they're just like, "Hey, are you on drugs?" And it's like, "No. What makes you say that?" And then they're like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." Then they leave, and then like I literally I snort cocaine, you know, like that was the joke for us. And then the next scene is me dead at the hospital with a toe tag. Um, Oh no! They find out about it at a football game. That's what it was. They're like, "Oh God, Will's in the hospital," and the cheerleaders are like, "Give me a 9, give me a 1." They're like, "Shut up!" Like that was like the fucking joke. But I don't think our teacher just like didn't think that would work for elementary school kids. So I think that's why it kind of like morphed into this like, okay, let's keep the football game scene and let's kind of like morph it into like what it became, which was like we're all at a football game and during halftime you see like a group of characters like, hey guys, let's do some drugs, and like, hey, we're gonna be at the party later. Then at the party the cops show up and oh my god, everybody's doing drugs, and that's what it became and everything. So like that was like some weird acting that I did. The other, oh god, yeah. So we also did these plays. You know, we had a choice. We had three plays handed to us. One was called Girl Town. Um, oh god, no. I'm sorry. We had four plays handed to us because we did three of them. One was called Girl Town. One was called The Whole Shebang. Um, I can't remember the other two, but one was essentially about um a man who slaps his wife in the beginning, and he's like running from the cops from it, and he hides out in this house and essentially holds them hostage. Then they kind of like coax him into marrying their daughter that you never see. And the twist is that like the daughter comes out and it's the girl that he slapped from the beginning. That's the fucking twist. And the other, no, that was the next year I did that one. Yeah, never mind. Sorry. So there was three of them. Yeah, okay, because that was the next year. Okay, my bad. So we were handed three plays and we did two. That's what it was. And the whole shebang, I was really pushing for, because what the whole shebang was about a woman who just went fucking nuts. And like you see her like in a straitjacket on the stage, basically describing the events of what happened. About how she went fucking bonkers, and it's about her like trying to put on a play and all the nuttiness that fucking like went wrong and shit. And I really wanted to do it because it was a lot of fucking fun, But like it got outvoted. I was like, "Are you for real?" We ended up doing the slap in the face one and Girl Town, which Girl Town was like kind of really weird and it was really adult for us at the time. Like, there's a lot of innuendo in that play. If it's online somewhere, read it. There's a lot of innuendo, and I don't think us as freshmen in high school really should have been doing that play. But whatever. Like, there's like a scene where like that implies two girls making out with each other, which, I mean, nowadays that's nothing. But like, good God, in the middle of like conservative fucking North Carolina in 2000, what 2001, somewhere in there. Uh, yeah, okay. I really didn't see that going over so well. But I actually played two characters in there. I played Spud, the taxi driver, which I had like two lines. And then the other one I played, oh God, what was his name? I don't remember, but like, I came across, I was essentially a fat ass, is what it was. So, typecasting at its best. Um, Basically, my whole shtick was, like, God, it even says it in the fucking, it said it in the description of the play. And that was just like, he wasn't a looker, but he was funny, which I was like, good God, did they fucking, man, did they just look at this and say, here, Will, this is you on a paper? But like, so it's like me and some chick, and we're at a restaurant. And I just order like, I need a triple burger, tub of fries, super large drink, and oh yeah, extra mayo. You know. And then like the two girls get into a fight, and they're like, "That's it, we're leaving." And I'm just like, "But my tub of fries," Like that was like that was like my funny line and shit. Which there was a time I was embarrassed about saying that fucking line. Because like I don't think I've ever told this to anybody. Um, we were practicing that play, and I was off book. Off book, for those of you who don't know, is when you don't have to read the script while you're rehearsing. I was off book. I knew this shit forwards and backwards. So we were actually practicing it for people in the school, and there are people like, who already, make fun of me and shit for being a fat ass. Now I'm playing one on stage, you know. So that line came where like I had to say, but my tub of fries, and I could not physically bring myself to do it. It was just like one of those rare times where like I'm like I cannot give these people the satisfaction of fucking just proving even more that I'm a fucking fat ass. So I think I remember like, but my food, like, and I just remember just looking off to the right, just like, fuck, like, I'm not giving you that satisfaction. Another thing I did, which pissed off one of my, co-stars, I guess would be a word to put it, was, what was her name? Rachel, not White, but, oh, God, there was another Rachel, I can't remember her name. But, like, it said, like I just said in the line, it was, extra mayo. Well, like, personally, I'm not a fan of mayo. I understand it's a fucking play. I get that, but I wanted to make it more personal. So, like, when it got to the extra mayo thing, I was like, oh, and hold the mayo, And, like, one day, the fucking girl was just like, it says extra mayo. And I was just like, and I changed the line. Like, damn, what are you freaking out about, man? Like, again, a very small part, but as they say in acting, there's no small parts, only small actors. And I wasn't even a small actor. So, um, so the next year, I became more like into the technical, because the next year there was 2 semesters, obviously. So the first semester we did the smack in the face play. I'm sorry, not smack in the face play. I'm sorry. We did the play where it's about Dracula who's like trying to find a love interest, and he just keeps finding these kooky characters. Like one's like a fucking cowgirl. It's like, should I spank you or should I tie you up? Which I'm like, again, how did we get away with this shit? Oh God, what was the other one we did? I can't remember, but I know I didn't even have any parts in like these. I did more technical in this. I did like lights and shit. You know, um, the next semester, right before I moved to Texas, was when we did Grease. Now, I would love to sit here and talk about Grease all night, but that's a podcast probably for another day. I have so much fucking shit to talk about Grease and what went on during that whole semester where we did Grease. That like that has to be a podcast by itself. But just know I did Grease, and fuck it, I took it very seriously. Just know that. So now I moved to Texas, Houston, Texas, and I get placed in this fucking hellhole of a school, and they're like, what classes do you want to take? And I was like, well, I took this, 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 and this. And I was like, do you have a drama class? I'd really like to take drama. And they're like, yeah, we have a drama class. And I was just like, okay, well, I'd like to take that. And they're like, okay, well, looking at your transcript here, we don't really know where to place you. So let's go find out. So we go to the drama stage, and that's when I found out this huge auditorium they have that I mentioned in the talent show episode. And so they asked the director, his name was Mr. Buckner. They're like, oh, so we're trying to put him in a drama class, but we don't know which one to put him in. He's like, okay, well, what's his grades like? And the guy looks at me like, what were your grades? I'm like, well, damn. I was like, drama 1, I got a 87, and drama 2, I got a 93. And he was like, all right, drama 1, drama 2, 88. It's like, go ahead and put him in my advanced 3 class. And they're like, okay, cool, sounds good. That was the downfall right there, because when I got into this class, it started off fine. It was okay. Some of the people were cool, some of them were not cool. And man, again, acting is supposed to be fun. And I understand that there's a time and a place to be serious and everything, but like, it really shouldn't be in drama class. And a lot of people just took this shit too seriously. Like, I think one time I did a monologue, and the monologue was from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And people got fucking bitchy about it. They're like, oh, well, that was from a movie and everything. I'm like, it just has to be published. Like, that was a requirement. It just has to be a published monologue. Well, they're not going to be happy about that. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Then the coup de grace was like, we were going to do this play for this competition called Flying West. And Flying West is about a black family in the I want to say like early 1900s, something like that. Where one of the family members marries a mulatto, half black, half white man, and that man just decides to beat on her, and then they plot to kill him, and eventually do so. And again, on paper, that sounds, pretty interesting. But like watching it, oh my God, it is the most boring fucking thing I've ever been associated with. And I tried everything in my power to like make it interesting, you know? Um, I wanted to, there was a different part I was trying out for, and again, it was supposed to be somebody black, but like, I was like, oh God, I don't want to play the mulatto, which is eventually the part they gave me. I didn't like it. I think one day during rehearsal, like one of the girls didn't show up, so I was like, oh, I'll play that part for him. And they're just like, oh, come on, Will. And man, I had the costume on, ready to go. I had the flower basket because she carried a flower basket and shit. Had it on, ready to go. And they're just like, no, Will. It was just shit like that where I'm just like, see, I'm trying to make it fun. And like, nobody wants to make it fucking fun. Some of the acting exercises in Drama 3 were actually quite fun. Like, oh God, there was one. It really put me to the test on some of them. Like, one was like, he was going to play music and he's going to say somebody and we're going to just start a story and go. And I was like, oh shit. Luckily, I was like the sixth person he called and I was able to keep it going because that's all I was worried about. Like, just keep it going, man. And that's when we started doing the Friday talent shows. So I really didn't get to. The only time I really got to prove that I could perform was on those talent shows. The Friday talent shows that I alluded to in that episode. But it wasn't until we did that play Flying West is when I was just like, fucking, this is not fun anymore. Like everybody takes this shit like way too serious. And I get it. At some parts you have to take it seriously. But if you really break down what plays are, what movies are, what TV shows are. It's fucking people playing pretend. You know, that's what it is. You know, and like I eventually became the understudy for the character that they kill, and like it got to the point where like I just started listening to CDs. Wow, because I was like, fuck it, he's got it. And then at one point they were just like line, and I wasn't paying attention. I had to come up with some bullshit just to get out of it. So, um, I just hated it, you know. And the only reason I was taking it at that point because they were like, oh, if you take 2 years of drama, you letter in it. You get a letterman's jacket. That's the only reason I was taking it. So then the next year, for 12th grade, they didn't even put me in a fucking drama class. And I was just like, what? But I'm trying to letter. They're like, okay, well, you can take this class that we have after school. I'm like, oh, yeah, because that's where I want to be. You know, I ended up getting an 86 in a class that I didn't even show up for. I'm like, how the fuck is that even possible? You know? So, so for my senior year of high school, didn't even take drama class. Didn't really care. I even stopped going to the drama class for fucking lunch and shit because I just stopped caring. It wasn't till I started working at Blockbusters when I really started to like. I mean, like I've seen some movies before, to where I was just like, oh man, I didn't think I would like that. Like I've always told the story before. I'm pretty sure people have heard it, so I'm not gonna go into it. But like a movie like The Green Mile, on paper, that is a movie I never thought I would like. But I sat down, watched it, loved it, you know? And it wasn't until I started working at Blockbusters where I really, really opened my fucking horizon to other movies. I mean, movies like Mona Lisa Smile with Julia Roberts, you know, Me, You, and Everything We Know, which if you're like, what the hell's that? Exactly. You know, like a lot of independent dramas, foreign films. That's how I got hooked on Audrey Tautou movies, who I love. I love Audrey Tautou, you know. It was because of that job that it really made me, you know, broaden my horizon when it came to just not just put myself into a fucking hole and not just watch comedies, watch horror. You know, like okay, I can watch other shit. You know, okay, maybe this romance movie isn't too bad. Maybe maybe this action movie isn't too bad. You know, I'm not a big fan of the action genre, but maybe there's one out there that's for me. And you know, I found a couple. You know, so it got me thinking, you know, could I maybe write a movie? You know, I downloaded some software to write a screenplay, and sorry if you hear my dog barking. Um, and the first thing I came up with was not entirely original, but it was actually something I put work into because I was working in a video store at the time. So it was essentially the movie Kevin Smith's Clerks from '94. It was essentially Clerks in a video store. And that one I actually put some work into. I didn't write any like dialogue or anything. I had like bits written. Um, and it was going to be called Maximus because that's where I had I had in the story I had the video store called Maximus Video, and it was going to be about a group of people working in a video store overnight. Like apparently this video store was open 24 hours, so that was the idea. And the lead guy is named Max, and he and a girl were gonna have a conflict, you know. And then of course you have your wacky cast of characters. Like that's where if anybody knows my character Wendell, the guy who talks like this guy right here, that's where that character was essentially created. Was in the story for that movie that I was writing down. I think I originally had him down as Wendell, and then at one time this character's name right here was Mason, but then I went back to Wendell. And he was like the goody two shoes. He knew all the rules of the video store and everything. And one of the running jokes that I was gonna have planned for the movie is that it was a rip off of Blockbuster. So like Blockbuster had a rewards card. So like whenever you had a customer, you say like, "Hey, you have your rewards card." So like the joke of the movie was gonna be Maximus Video has a goodies card. You know. So whenever Wendell's just like, "Oh, can I see your goodies?" he gets smacked for it. So that was going to be like one of the running gags of the movie. I think the lead girl was going to be called Jennifer. Um, And that's all I pretty much remember for it. I had this all written down at one point, like the story. Um, Basically, your typical rom com. Like these two are not together, and then by the end of the movie, Max and Jennifer are together. And then like the zaniness ensues inside the store. You know, that was essentially the idea of it. Um, the other one came from now. If anybody's ever seen Richard Linklater's After Midnight or Before Sunset or what's the other one? He did a third one. I want to say Before Sunrise. I want to say. Um, if you've ever seen these movies, they're fucking brilliant fucking movies. Where it's like essentially all done in one take. And I came up with my own idea of that. But it doesn't start in one take. It's about two people who broke up. Um, and it was not good. It was not a good breakup. And then years later, one of the character, the male character, you see him on a movie set, like doing auditions, you know, and like okay, lose the robe, and it's like some chick fully nude and everything. We find out he's casting for a porno flick, and you're like, wow, okay. So then the next girl comes in, and it's the girl he broke up with years prior, and he's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So then that's when the one take starts, and you see these two have this conversation about like, hey, why are you here? Why are you doing it? What made you get into porn? Da, 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 da. And you have this one take, kind of like Richard Linklater's, Before Sunset, After Midnight, all that shit, you know. And the last scene I always had envisioned in my head was like eventually he would not be able to talk her out of doing this because that was going to be the crux of the movie. Was just like, whoa, you can't do this. I can't sit here and watch you do this type of movie. Da, da, da. And the last fucking scene would be her on set and just him like depressed and just being like, okay, action, boom, credits, you know? So that one, but like again, I don't even have names for those characters. I just had mainly a story idea for that, you know? So getting on YouTube, eventually later, I would get to be in a movie. Short film, but still a movie. As you guys know, I know Brendan, aka Wet Movie One, and he was in a movie, a short film called Broken Heart, made by this kid, Gino, we'll call him. And Brendan was pimping it out. Brendan tends to pimp out the shit that he's in. And at the time, I was really involved in the movie/DVD community on YouTube, so I wanted to go support him. So I watched it. And the kid was just like, "Hey, I want feedback on it." So I watched it, and for a kid with just a camera and everything, it was decent. The only criticism that I really had is that he made a very serious movie, and then at the end he put like a fucking a joke on it, like fucking Broken Heart 2 coming soon. And I was just like, really, that's how you decided to end it, you know? So when you could still send messages on YouTube, I messaged them and I was just like, hey man, I watched your movie and everything. I liked it, but here's what I didn't like. And I basically just told him what I just said. And I get a message back. He was like, oh, okay, well, thank you for the feedback and everything. I was like, yeah, no problem. And he was like, so would you like to be in the second one? And I was just like, for real? And he's like, yeah, I'm doing the second one here pretty soon. The script's already written and everything. I need somebody to play Cousin Tony. I was like, fuck yeah. Let's do this. How do you need me to do it? He was like, oh, I just need you to record it, send it to me, and I'll put it into the movie. I was like, fucking A. So he sends me the script to this movie, and he's like, okay, you're playing Tony. I was like, cool. And I look at the fucking lines for Tony, and like, I was like, okay, this is absolute dog shit. Again, I've never written a screenplay, but like, this was shit that like I would never fucking say. And I understand that like I'm supposed to be playing a character, but like even as a character, I'm just like, he wants me to say what? So I just took that scene. I didn't take the whole movie because like whatever. But I took that scene and I was just like, you know what? This is how I would say it. This is this. But rewrote the whole fucking scene. You know, not the shit he said, just the shit I said. And I sent it to him. I was like, um, listen, the stuff that you wrote is just something that like I would never say. You know, like I think this will work better, and I sent it to him. And he's like, "Oh man, this is great. Yeah, film that, man." You know, so I was like, "Okay." You know, I want a writing credit though. Ha 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 ha. Joking. He gave me a fucking writing credit. And I was like, "Okay." You know, so I did that, and it was fucking cool. It was real chill getting to see myself in like a short film. I think it was like 12 minutes long. I have it on DVD here somewhere. So then he tells me that he's gonna make a third one called Broken Heart 2 Final Fight. Oh no, Streets of London. That's what it called. No, the second one was called Streets of London. The third one's called Final Fight. That's what it is. And he was like, "You're gonna be in that one, but you're gonna die in this one." I was like, "Oh, that's fucking dope, man. What do you want me to do?" And he was just like, "Fucking, here's the script, but like you'll come up with whatever." Like he just assumed it this time. I was like, "Right on." I look at the script, and he was right. I was like, "I got this." But here was like my first quote unquote taste of Hollywood unquote. He was like, "Okay, like me, Brendan, Gabe, you know, Brendan's friend Gabe, for those of you not listening, for those of you who don't know who the fuck this is, um, like, oh god, it was like it was somebody else who was in it too. I can't remember who it is, but anyway, they're just like, okay, this is the third one, so for this one, once it's done, I'm gonna give you all DVD copies of the movie. I'm gonna give y'all a T-shirt. I'm gonna give y'all a CD of the soundtrack and something else. I forgot what it was. And a disc of special features. I think that's what it was. I don't know. I can't remember. And I was like, okay, man, that's fucking dope, dude. All right. So uh, he was like, okay, I know you're just gonna come with your own shit, but like, just make sure you fucking like do something where you die at the end. And I was like, all right, bet. Okay, cool. So I do the lines and shit. It was basically like, you know, I know somebody's coming to kill you. Da da da. I hear a knock at the door. I open the door. I look shocked. Bang, bang, bang. I'm dead. So I see the rough cut footage with the special effects and everything. Like the door opens and you see bullet holes come on me and everything, and I fucking fall down and I'm dead. I was like, that's fucking dope, man. Oh my god. What happened was I made a joke and it was just a fucking joke. I didn't even really fucking mean it. I made a joke saying I'm gonna make a fourth one. You know, like I'm gonna make Broken Heart 4, Tony's Return. You know, Tony's not really dead. I had no fucking intention in making this movie. I had no fucking, you know, I had no script written, nothing. It was a fucking joke. It was just something I said. This kid took it seriously. So when it came to my death scene, all it did was like the door opens and fucking fades to black and you hear gunshots. That's it. And I was like, what happened to my death scene? You know, never answered me. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So movie comes out and it was really cool. Me, Brendan, are in it and shit. You know, so it was really cool to see. You know, all that stuff. So about a month and a half goes by. You know, and I'm just like, you know, we never got all that shit. You know, like T-shirt, the fucking CD, the DVDs, all that stuff. So I messaged him and I was like, hey man, I was just curious when all that stuff's coming. You know, the DVD, CD, all that. He was just like, oh yeah, well I don't know if I have enough. And I was like, what do you mean you don't have enough? Like, you said we're all getting one, man. Like, you know. He was just like, well, you know, Gabe's in the movie, and you know, I think he's a little bit higher up than you. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, you said we're all getting one, dude. Like, he was like, yeah, I know, but I just, you know, I only have one. I was like, dude, can I at least get DVDs? Like, if you're making this big a deal about it, can I at least get DVDs of the fucking movies? He was like, yeah, how many do you need? I was like, 2 copies, please. Because I gave one to Jackie. You know? So, after that, I realized a few more months go by. And I realized I haven't heard from this kid. So I was like, huh. So I went and looked him up and he blocked me. I was like, wow, okay, fine, whatever. You know? But that eventually led to Brendan, aka Wet Movie 1, went off to Vegas and made his movie Out and About. which I get asked about sometimes about how this came about. So, I mean, for those of you who haven't heard it before, this is how it came about. Brendan went off and made his movie in Vegas, and it was good for him and everything. So good for him. So when he got back, me and him would talk a lot on fucking, Skype, all that good stuff. So we got to talking one night, and he was like, "I want you to be in the movie." I was like, "How the hell you want me to do that?" He was like, "Just film like a phone call with me. Like just film whatever you want. I'll come up with the rest." I was like, "All right, I can do that." He was like, "I have one condition though." At the time when I was living in Illinois when this happened, I was chilling out in the basement a lot. He was like, "I have one condition though." I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "I don't want you to film it in your basement." I was like, "Okay, cool." So anyway, I'm filming it in my basement. Completely listened to what he said and disregarded it, and did that. You know, Plus he was like, "I also want you to do the audio commentary with me." Now, anybody who knows me knows I fucking love listening to DVD commentaries. You know, I fucking love them. So Brendan asking me to do the DVD commentary with him was fucking great, but little did I know that would cause so much fucking controversy as well. Like, oh my god, people lost their fucking mind because me and him did the DVD commentary for it. You know. Then he did the second one, which almost I didn't make the cut for that one. Cause oh no, wait, let me go back to the first one because I forgot. One night he messaged me on Skype out of the blue, and he's printing up the DVDs for him, and he's like, "Dude, I'm having trouble." I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, I don't know what to write on the back of the DVD." I was like, "You mean for the synopsis?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I was like, "Here, I got this." And like within 5 minutes, I had like 4 different synopses written up. And he was like, "Oh my god, this is why you're great, dude. You fucking know how to do this shit." And he was like, "You mind if I use one?" I was like, "Fucking hey, go for it, man." So he used one. So if you ever have a fucking copy DVD of Out and About, the movie, the synopsis on the back is written by me. You know, but the second one, he goes to Vegas again to film a sequel. He gets back, and I was like, "So you want me to film something for this?" And he was serious with me. He was like, I don't know if I have room for this." I was like, "Really?" I wasn't mad about it. I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Because we have this stuff at the beginning, and then this and that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then it dawned on me. I was like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. What if we Marvel it?" He's like, "What?" And I was like, "Why don't I film something? We put it in the credits." And he was like, "Oh, that could work." And I was like, "Yeah." So I kind of filmed this bit where my character Window, this guy right here, mixes up the dates for the flight. So Artist was supposed to go to Vegas, and he missed the flight because Wendell mixed up the dates. That was the gag. And it also sets up me being in the third one, which Brendan's like, "If we ever do a third one, I want you in it." And it sets up us going to New Orleans. But Brendan has even said, he was like, "I doubt the third one will ever happen." So I was like, that's why you want me in it, because it's never going to fucking happen, you know? So, that was, the movies I was in. When I went through the breakup, like, I don't know what it is about, I guess trauma would be the fucking word for it. But something about sadness, depression, trauma is what really gets my creative juices flowing. Like I come up with like a lot of fucking shit when like I'm either sick, I'm going through shit. That's when I really come up with like a lot of fucking ideas, you know? And one thing I came up with was, I've been, as previously stated, I've been through a lot of fucking hate on YouTube, a lot of it, but there is, and I mentioned a lot of that hate here on YouTube and this podcast and everything. The thing I don't mention a lot of is I've also met a lot of great people because of YouTube. It's not something I really bring up that often. I mean, I've met, like I just mentioned, I've met Brendan, aka Wet Movie One. I've met numerous other people who I'm friends with on Facebook to this day because of YouTube. Um, everything like that. And I've met some great people that I've lost along the way that I really wish I could reconnect with and get them. But so I thought of this movie that would kind of combine both of them, and it was kind of like a documentary where like I you know, tour the United States, meeting the people that I've met online, like kind of like not like catfish, but like like okay, these are the people that I've only met online. Let's actually meet them in person. And the catch was gonna be the ending of the movie would be to meet one of my haters and see what happens. That was gonna be like the fucking crutch of the movie or the crux. I keep saying crutch when I mean crux. That was gonna be the crux of the movie. But the budget that I had planned for the movie it was nowhere fucking. It wasn't even plausible. Now it's probably plausible. I could probably make that movie happen now. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, but at the time, I think the budget was like 10 grand. Now I could probably do that movie for like fucking I don't know, probably five, maybe a little less. You know, but that was like I announced it and everything, and I was gonna do a crowdfund for it, but like once I did the numbers and crunched it and everything, and it came to 10 grand, I was like, "There's no way in hell." I'm not like Brendan's level. I'm not Wet Movie One level here. Where I'm not sitting on 60,000 subscribers and everything. I'm barely getting 60 views on these fucking podcasts and everything on YouTube. So it just wasn't plausible. But like I put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into that and everything. The final thing was, uh, I've had many ideas for movies. Many, as mentioned before, I had the Maximus movie idea, and I've had many ideas for like a movie. Like, oh, wouldn't it be a good movie if this and this and this happened? Or like, wouldn't it be like a good short film if this and this and this happened? And something finally happened to where I was just like, you know what, I can make this into a movie. And that was during the lip sync battle. There was 2 consecutive years of stuff that like I can turn this into a movie, and then plus like the past with like oh yeah, this is how I got into lip sync and everything like that. So I was finally able to do like a quasi documentary like movie with a narrative. I was trying to make it feature length because according to the motion picture arts arts and sciences, is that what it is? Um, yeah, according to the motion picture arts and sciences, feature length is considered 40 minutes or longer. And I was just shy of it for about, I think I want to say 8 minutes shy, maybe a little less. Maybe I was up 35. So I just could not get that feature length, so it's considered a short. Um, but I had it all there. I had a narrative. Where I started with lip singing, where it led to, next, first, for, gone, all the way up until like the eventual like losing of that like lip sync battle, and like maybe everything led to that moment where I was destined to fail, because that was the name of the movie, Destined to Fail. Lip sync. I had voiceovers. I had these dramatic moments in there, and it was just really cool to finally just say like, hey, I made a short film. You know, yeah, it wasn't seen by a lot of people or anything like that, but like, fuck, I did it. It was like the book again. This is before the book, but it was just like the book. It was just like, fuck, I can do it. I can climb this mountain. You know, there's not a lot of people in this world who can say that. There's not a lot of people who say I made a short film, I wrote a book, or anything like that. And I'm glad I can say that I can at least like cross that off the list of shit that like I wanted to do. You know, and I'm proud of it. Do I wish that the dream came to life? Like, do I wish I was a big time filmmaker? Of course. You know, because like like here. I skipped over this. One of my big ideas. I used to write these stories as a kid called The Graveyard of Doom, and they were very like Scooby-Doo-ish, you know. But the thing was, as I matured, the stories matured, you know. So like when I started writing these things when I was like in third grade, you know. So like in third grade, they were very Scooby-Doo-ish, you know, like oh god, the ghost. But by the time I got to ninth grade, when I wrote the last one, they were adults, like the characters were adults and everything, and it had like time travel involved, and you know, like it was like a 5-part story that I wrote within a 7-year period. You know, um, like one of them was like it was a complete Night of the Living Dead ripoff. Like I'm not even gonna lie, but like the fifth one, like is about time travel where we go back to that story and save our friend from dying and everything. Um, you know, like I said, I would have loved to turn those into movies somehow. You know, I actually wrote like a whole essay one time on how to turn those into movies. You know, but yeah, do I ever, you know, like God, do I wish I could fucking still make that dream come true? Fucking yeah, man. Throw me a budget right now in a fucking movie. Fuck, let's make it happen, man. You know, I would love to do that. You know, let's make stories no one asked for the movie. Let's do it. You know, but yeah, there you go. That's the story that you didn't ask for this week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, this little journey here. Like I said, Grease. That's gonna be like another podcast episode on its own. Um, but yeah, that was like my history of film and my wanting of being a filmmaker, I guess would be a better way of putting it there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's episode. So until next time, I am the Artist Version 1, and remember, be breezy.